I'm going to be honest with you in saying that Breitling, since I started getting into watches, has never really been on my radar, and this was about 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago, that I started getting into watches. And, although my father owned an Airwolf, with the digital subdials, it was just a watch. I looked at it and it didn't spark any interest in the brand. It was big, it was clunky, it was just not really something that spoke to me. It wasn't until I saw the new chronomats, and more specifically the release of the chronographs, because I believe they were the first chronomats to be released, that I was like, hey, this is actually really cool. And this is something completely new. And although it screamed Breitling in every aspect in terms of its aesthetic, it was a new Breitling. It was kind of a rejuvenated Breitling. All the elements of the watch were very characteristic of Breitling, but at the same time they were not, because all the things that I disliked about the brand beforehand were kind of adjusted. The bracelets, the size of the watches, the dials, and the overall aesthetic and wearability of their watches. And that's when I really started looking at the other lines, such as the Navitimer, such as the Premier line. And the Navitimer, to be honest, back then there was still the old model, and as Chris puts it, it is a tool watch and it is understandably cluttered. There are so many functions on that watch which makes the appeal of the Navitimer. But that was the reason why still back then I wasn't really interested in the Navitimer. It was cool, but it was too large for me personally. And so moving on to this year, basically, Breitling have released new Navitimers with new dials, with new materials and different sizes, which again, they addressed everything that I disliked about the watch. But not only that, they released new chronomats, Datejust chronomats basically, and chronomats with a GMT function very recently. They also released new Premier line watches, and they also released a new Super Ocean. And when I looked at this all together, I finally realized what Breitling have achieved, and I think it is incredible. And although a few people are talking about it, not enough people are talking about it. 5 years ago, if you looked at the catalogue of Breitling, it was just boring. It was nothing interesting to it. Sure, they were good watches, but they didn't speak to a younger audience. But now I keep seeing more and more young people wearing Breitling watches, and it is a brand that is rich in history. It is a brand that has quality. I just feel like there was a dead period, and now the brand is completely revived, and I cannot imagine how hard that is. And they managed to pull it off. One watch more interesting than the other, and all this without trying to be anything but Breitling. If you're enjoying this video, it really means a lot to us if you take the time to just leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as it does help a lot. They have managed to revive the entire brand by staying respectful to their design characteristics, but kind of redoing them, revisiting them in a modern way, and kind of speaking to a wider audience by adjusting things such as size, by offering more colorful dials, but still staying true to that very Breitling character that is immediately recognizable when you have a look at their watches. One of the watches I want to touch on briefly today that does incorporate all of this, the new Chronomat GMT. I think what you get with that watch is just such an interesting offering. You're getting a 40mm sports watch, steel sports watch, with a really interesting bracelet, again a unique bracelet with very strong Breitling character, bezel, and a GMT function. It's just, the GMT function, as I said in many other videos, for me is one of the most useful and actually one of the best looking sports complications in that sense. It just is a complication that fits well on a sports watch, and it being featured on a 40mm sports watch that is both elegant but also toolish, extremely versatile, below 5k is an incredible offering. This competes definitely with the likes of the Black Bay, the Black Bay 36 from Tudor, but also the Omega Aquaterra. And frankly, I think this looks better than an Aquaterra. Maybe it's a strong take, but I think it's an incredible offering. Now don't get me wrong, I'm very aware of the movement. This is a Sedlita movement, but it is modified to a chronometer standard. It is not chronometer certified, but I mean, as long as your watch keeps chronometer time, do you really need more? I mean, that's another discussion, but I think you're getting an incredible overall package. And this video was really just about showing and acknowledging what Breitling have done. And I'm so happy that they have, because finally I'm seeing a brand flourish that has been almost, well, let's not exaggerate, it hasn't been dead, but it has been boring. And they just came out of nowhere with this, and I think it is an incredible achievement to be acknowledged. And I'm really excited to see what Breitling are up to in the future. Now I want to know from you guys, do you agree with what I just said? Do you think the brand has revived itself, or are you still not interested in Breitling? Or have you perhaps been a Breitling fan for much longer than I have been, which is only about 1 year now? And if so, I'd be really interested to know what attracted you to Breitling before its revivals. So definitely do let us know in the comments down below what you think. This space and this hobby is so much more interesting with different points of views, and the way we can discuss it, I just love it. So definitely do get involved and let us know. If you enjoyed this video, please just take the time to subscribe to the channel and leave a like on this video, as it does help us out a lot. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time. Ciao.